What if I told you the single most powerful force in human history is fading away right before our eyes? The numbers are in, and they paint a shocking picture of religion's rapid decline. For thousands of years, religion has been the answer to everything. It shaped empires, started wars, built cities, and told us how to live our lives. But today, something is different. All around the world, especially in developed countries, people are walking away from faith in massive numbers. We're talking about the steepest drop in religious belief ever recorded. So what's going on? Is this just a phase? Or are we witnessing the end of religion as a major player on the world stage? The reasons are a lot more complex than you might think, and they involve everything from your smartphone to some massive mistakes the churches have made themselves. Let's just start with the raw data because it's pretty mind-blowing. A huge global study found that in just under 20 years, the number of people who call themselves religious dropped from 68% down to 56%. At the same time, the number of people saying they're not religious shot up, and the number of convinced atheists nearly doubled. Think about that. For something that has been a cornerstone of society for millennia, that's a lightning-fast change. Nowhere is this clearer than in the United States. For the first time ever, the biggest single group isn't Catholics or evangelicals. It's the nones, people who check none of the above when asked about their religion. They now make up 28% of the population, and that number has exploded since 2007. And it's not just about what people say they are, it's what they do. Church attendance is way down. The number of people who pray regularly has dropped, and fewer people say religion is important in their daily lives. Across the ocean in Western Europe, it's even more extreme. It's the least religious place on the planet, with only about 37% of people identifying as religious. In countries like Sweden and Denmark, more than half the population is either atheist or not religious at all. So the big question is why? What happened? Well, one of the biggest drivers is something that has been picking up speed for a few hundred years: science. For a long time, religion was the only game in town for explaining the big questions. Why are we here? Where did the universe come from? What happens when we die? Religion had an answer for all of it. But then science came along and started offering different answers, answers that you could test and prove. The theory of evolution showed us where life came from without needing a creator. Cosmology showed us how the universe began with a big bang. Neuroscience is even starting to explain things like consciousness and morality as brain functions, not messages from a soul. Every time science explains something new, the space for religious explanations gets a little bit smaller. It's like for centuries, religion was the only map we had. It might have been a bit vague, but it was all there was. Now, science is like a high-resolution GPS that can explain the world in incredible detail. And for a lot of people, the old map just doesn't seem necessary anymore. And it's not just science, it's technology. The internet has completely changed the game. Before, if you grew up in a small town, your local church or temple was your main source of information about faith. Your priest or imam was the authority. Now you can pull out your phone and learn about 1,000 different religions or 1,000 different arguments against religion in a matter of minutes. That exposure to so many different ideas makes it a lot harder to believe that your one religion is the one and only truth. Social media has also created new kinds of communities. People can find connection and a sense of belonging online in groups that share their hobbies or interests, not just their faith. These online groups are fulfilling some of the same social needs that churches used to fill. Then there's education. Study after study shows a clear link. The more educated a person is, the less likely they are to be deeply religious. This isn't because universities are trying to turn people into atheists. It's because higher education is designed to teach you how to think critically, to question things, and to look for evidence. When you apply those skills to religious claims that are based on faith and ancient texts, a lot of people find that those claims don't hold up to scrutiny. You learn about history, psychology, and other cultures, and you start to see how religious beliefs are shaped by the time and place they came from, rather than being universal truths. If you're finding this breakdown interesting and want to see more deep dives like this, take a second to hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out, and you won't miss what's coming next. Now, we have to talk about something that religious institutions really don't want to talk about: their own mistakes. It's hard to trust a message when you don't trust the messenger, and in recent decades, that trust has been shattered. The Catholic Church's worldwide sexual abuse crisis is one of the biggest moral failures of any institution in modern history. The cover-ups, the denial, it did incredible damage to their credibility. But it's not just one church. We've seen scandals with evangelical leaders living in luxury while preaching humility, financial corruption, and hypocrisy on a massive scale. These scandals are so damaging because they go against the very core of what religion claims to be: a source of moral authority. On top of that, many religious groups have put themselves on the wrong side of major social changes. Their resistance to LGBTQ rights, their opposition to women having equal roles in leadership, and their close ties to extreme political movements have made them seem out of touch and even hateful to a lot of younger people. Society is moving towards more equality and inclusion, and when major religions fight against that, they alienate the very people they need to survive. This all ties into another huge cultural shift: the rise of individualism. We live in a world that celebrates personal freedom, self-discovery, and making your own choices. That doesn't fit very well with religions that demand obedience to ancient rules and submission to a higher authority. People increasingly want to decide their own morals and live their own life, not follow a pre-written script. And what's interesting is we've proven we can be good without God. Secular ethical systems like humanism are based on reason, empathy, and a desire for human well-being. They provide a moral framework that lets people be good, compassionate, and build a just society, all without needing divine commands. But perhaps the single biggest, most undeniable sign that religion is becoming obsolete is what's happening with young people. The generational shift is staggering. In the US alone, over 1 million young people are leaving Christian churches every year. Generation Z is the least religious generation in history, by a long shot. They grew up as digital natives, in a world full of diverse views, where information is everywhere. For them, religion isn't the default setting. It's just one option among many, and it often seems like the most boring and restrictive one. And here's a fascinating twist in the data. For a long time, men were more likely to leave religion than women. But with Gen Z, that has flipped. Young women are now leaving the church in greater numbers than young men. This is huge, because women have historically been the backbone of religious communities. This shift is likely tied to women's rising education levels, career ambitions, and a growing rejection of patriarchal religious systems that treat them as second-class citizens. When you lose the young people, and especially when you lose young women, you are losing the future. So, as the old systems fade, what's taking their place? People are still looking for meaning, purpose, and community. Some find it in spirituality without organized religion, meditation, mindfulness, or a personal connection to nature. Others find it in secular humanism, or in social and political causes that give them a sense of purpose, like environmentalism or fighting for social justice. These new systems offer the sum of the benefits of religion, but without the baggage of dogma, supernatural beliefs, and restrictive rules. Looking ahead, the trends seem clear. Projections show that religious nuns will be the largest group in the US within the next 5 years. While religion might grow in some parts of the world due to higher birth rates, its cultural power and influence in the developed nations that shape global culture is shrinking fast. So, to wrap it all up, the decline of religion isn't happening for just one reason. It's a perfect storm. Science is providing better answers about the natural world. Technology is connecting us in new ways and exposing us to different ideas. Education is teaching us to think for ourselves. And the religious institutions themselves have driven people away with scandals and outdated social views. This doesn't mean religion will vanish overnight, but its role is changing. It's moving from being the center of public life to a private, personal choice, much like a hobby. We are in the middle of a fundamental shift in how humanity sees the world, moving away from ancient faith and towards a future guided by reason and evidence.